of admirers who chance on every opportunity to show their love, appreciation, and admiration. Tijan's generosity is also not going unnoticed, for there is no shortage of people who are willing to lavish him with praises for contributing immensely to the positive changes in the lives of peoples he's never met before. Although he is turning a lot of lives around, the professional footballer who is now wearing the cap of a philanthropist thinks this particular intervention and numerous others before it are nothing but a duty to his fellow Gambians.
For me, there are a lot of things, I have in mind, to do for the people, of the Gambia.
Helping the underprivileged and less fortunate who deserve a push to unleash their potential is the core of the Tijan Jete Foundation, and this, he says, is his passion.
I feel very emotional. I'm very happy, because I know that, they really need it, and I know there are a lot of people, in the country who have it very easy, who their mother or their father have it for them to have nice clothes, shoes, but some of the kids in the Gambia, they don't have this opportunity.
His footballing skills gave him the money he used to acquire the gifts. No wonder he is now using those funds to help budding footballers currently being nurtured at one football academy to live their dreams. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
Mobilization efforts in the harvesting of President Jammeh's numerous farm produce has finally reached volunteers in the Central River region as this activity advances to a very critical stage. Close to 700 volunteers drawn from various communities in Governor Gani Toure's region were attracted by the call for assistance and have been in action at the Kampan and Jiramba. Abdunjai will bring us details of that development later in our subsequent news bulletin. Well, time now to take our first break. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia. Stay tuned.
With new building developments across the region, many homeowners are falling victim to poor quality roof tiles. Let's talk to Freddie, who built his home 2 years ago. Freddie, how did you protect your investment and your family?
I used Decra roofing tiles. They don't fade, they don't rust, they don't chip.
And how long do they last?
With Decra roofing tiles, you get a 50-year written guarantee. I expect to be a grandfather in this house.
And there you have it. Decra are the world's original stone-coated metal roof tiles and still the best. Beware of fakes. Make sure you buy genuine Decra.
Original Decra roofing tiles are only available in the Gambia at Metalum Limited, Kanifing Industrial Estate.
Welcome back. Bangui is a city on the edge, and that can be said of the Central African Republic. Since the Seleka coalition came to power, the security situation in the country has deteriorated, with violent clashes erupting between Christians and Muslims across the country. More worryingly, the violence and general insecurity is creeping into the ranks of the African Union contingent. We have details in this report.
The Republic Prime Minister has denied declarations by an advisor to President Michel Chocho-Dia that there could be succession.
The head of state and the Transition National Union government firmly and energetically condemn these irresponsible claims that are scandalous and suicidal with regard to the Central African Republic, which is united and indivisible.
There is a growing sectarian gap between Christians and Muslims. Violence, revenge attacks, pillaging and lynching is rife in Bangui. This morning we had 40 wounded people arrive all of a sudden. 3/4 were seriously injured with bullet wounds, and the others were less seriously injured in the panic. The conflict is spreading to the ranks of the African Union force, MISCA. According to the Burundian contingent, Chadian soldiers attacked them with grenades Monday to free 6 former Seleka rebels. According to civilians, Chadian forces are defending the rebels. Chad has been a regional power omnipresent in the Central African Republic for years.
Elsewhere in Africa, South Sudanese government forces are heading for the contested town of Bo, currently in the hands of forces loyal to former Vice President Grts. The situation is very tense in Juba as both sides continue to amass troops in various strategic locations. Meantime, the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the UN is considering sending additional peacekeepers to deal with the worsening security situation. We have details in the CFI report.
The United Nations looks likely to send thousands of additional peacekeepers to South Sudan to better protect civilians and avoid any further violence.
I'll be sending a letter to the Security Council containing my recommendation for boosting the protection capacity of UNMISS with additional troops, police, and logistical assets.
Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has recommended sending in an extra 5,500 soldiers and over 400 extra police. That would bring the total number of United Nations personnel to over 12,000 in South Sudan. At the same time, the UN is calling for negotiations between the South Sudanese authorities and rebel forces loyal to the former Vice President of South Sudan, Riek Machar. Machar said he's ready for talks, but only after President Salva Kiir had released his political allies.
Of this August House. We are ready to start dialogue as soon as my comrades under detention, the SPLM leaders, whether enumerated to you, are released and evacuated to a neutral ground.
President Salva Kiir says that government forces are preparing an imminent attack on the town Bor, currently held by rebel forces. As such, negotiations look unlikely. Meanwhile, over 30,000 displaced civilians have sought refuge at different United Nations compounds since the fighting began in the capital Juba over a week ago, and hundreds of people have died in the fighting.
Well, new reports emerging from Juba say that government troops are claiming to have taken over the town of Bo after fierce clashes with rebel forces there. Pope Francis is going to be celebrating his first Christmas Eve midnight Mass. It will be, of course, the Vatican. The St. Peter's Basilica is expected to be packed through a record number of people requested to attend this traditional Mass. The new pontiff is particularly popular with Catholics all over the world. We have details in the CNN report.
A hive of activity. The Basilica remains open to visitors until this afternoon when they close it in preparation for this evening's Christmas Mass, and all eyes will be on Pope Francis.
The tree is trimmed. The nativity scene is set to be unveiled, and everyone seems excited for the Pope's very first Christmas.
We want to share this special moment with a person who is a beloved person, and we appreciate all he's doing.
9 months into his papacy, much has been made of the Pope's reforms. More scrutiny at the Vatican Bank, changes to the Church's bureaucratic structure, and a commission to deal with the abuse of minors. And that's to name a few.
He tends to be a surprise because he does things that are normal but are very abnormal in terms of the papacy. He brought 3 homeless men into the place where he's living to have breakfast with him on his birthday.
The festivities began on Saturday with his Christmas message to the Curia. Pope Francis urged the Church's governing body to avoid gossip and to focus on service. And then he practiced what he preached, spending 3 hours at a local hospital bringing Christmas cheer to sick children. For the first time ever on Monday, 2 living popes exchanged Christmas greetings. Francis met with Benedict for 45 minutes. St. Peter's Basilica is the place to be on Christmas Eve. Pope Francis will celebrate the traditional Mass. This year, there were a record number of requests to attend. And then on Christmas Day, tens of thousands of pilgrims will flood St. Peter's Square to hear his message to the world.
People are listening to him because he's speaking in a language that's not Vaticanese. He's speaking in the language of ordinary people.
Time now to take a second break. We'll be right back.
It's the grand, spectacular, mega explosive New Year's Eve banquet dinner and the grand dance salsa explosion night featuring Le Grand Maestro Medun Jallo and the